Filmed live in Canada, it's Jim's Record Party. Hello, everybody, once again. Welcome to Jim's Record Party. I'm your host, James. It's so nice of you to be with us. Before Peter Gabriel, before Alice Cooper, before Lou Reed, Dick Wagner formed perhaps Detroit's greatest rock band, The Frost. Here's their first album, Frost Music, The Frost, 1968. Long Way Down from Mobile, Mystery Man, Who Are You? An iconic Detroit rock album. Moved up from Iowa when he was a kid to Michigan. Mr. Dick Wagner, guitarist, songwriter, vocalist, triple threat, obviously a extremely hardworking man. Went on, as we say, to play with Alice Cooper, played on the Peter Gabriel album with the producer Bob Ezrin, was the pivot point. Played, of course, with the twin guitar, Overkill, Atomic Headache with Steve Hunter in the Lou Reed Metal Machine music period. But before all that, he did his greatest work with The Frost. Grand Funk Railroad, Terry Knight and the Pack, Scott Richard Case, Rare Earth, Amboy Dukes, the Motor City 5, MC5, and The Frost. The best songwriting of the bunch because of Dick Wagner. The best out-and-out rock and roll because of Mr. Donnie Hartman. Ably assisted by a fantastic rhythm section, Bob Riggs on drums and Gordy Garris on bass. This was a quartet to be reckoned with. Bit more of a rock and roll band, rock band live. But what a beautiful studio band. This first album on Vanguard is absolutely emblematic of the best that can come from American songwriting, American musicianship. Dick Wagner, a fantastic vocalist and fantastic lead guitarist here as well. And then Donnie Hartman turns it around, much as Leslie West used to do with Mountain. It's a pretty good analogy here. Dick does the darker tunes, the minor tunes, that is to say, in minor keys. And then Donnie comes out and lays some rock and roll on the house and does it just as well as anybody could. This album had some airplay on the Detroit FM stations at the time. That's certainly how we found out about it in 1968. Frost Music, The Frost. Definitely their most iconic and their most focused, their best sounding album. Often a complaint that the Vanguards do not sound very good, produced by Sam Charters, who owned the label. Here we have a bit of each, live and studio, The Frost, rock and roll music. Here they just come out and say it, rock and roll music. They turn this one kind of over to Donnie and his energizing persona. Dick also gets a couple of kicks at the can, live at the Grande Ballroom in Detroit, fabled rock house. Kind of a mishmash though, some live tunes and some studio tunes. So it's kind of disorienting when you listen to it. A CD was later released with the entire Grande Ballroom performance. But here we have the mix-up. Rock and roll music, The Frost. Criticized again for poor art design, poor artwork on their albums. You can lay some blame for that on Vanguard. There's no question about it. 1969 we are now. Brings us quickly to their final album. There were only 3. Through the Eyes of Love. And here they're known as simply Frost. I don't think that was a good idea. I think The Frost had much more gravitas. And I will say I was very disappointed by this album cover. It just washed out. The picture of them in the middle is unnecessary. The tunes are kind of a mix here between a bit of a Donny Hartman thing going on, rock and roll, and then a bit more grandiose offerings from Dick Wagner, a lot of vocal harmony, overdubbing. Very nice, but some of these tunes are stretched out to 7 minutes when they could have easily been 4.5, maybe 5. Still a very enjoyable, very beautiful album. If you're a guitar player, you absolutely have to check out Mr. Dick Wagner, one of the great American guitar players ever. They went their separate ways. Bob Riggs, the drummer, is often blamed for the breakup of this band because he was disappointed that they were not getting enough coverage on the road as they were in their hometown, which was true. They were very, very underserviced by Vanguard. Really did not stand a chance amongst the enormous houses that were selling rock and roll at the time. Dick Wagner, as we say, went on to play with Alice Cooper, went on to play with Lou Reed, and adds a beautiful guitar solo to a Peter Gabriel track on one of his solo albums. But nothing ever matched the heights of The Frost. Perhaps Detroit's greatest rock band, led by the erstwhile Dick Wagner. It's been my pleasure, ladies and gentlemen, to present these albums to you today. I urge you to check out The Frost. Beautiful, melodic rock, verging on hard rock, along with beautiful ballads that are basically country tunes in construction, beautifully sung. Very, very, very wonderful vocals by Dick Wagner here, and lyrics as well. Very personal, very adult for the time, I would say. 68, 69, and 1970, Frost music, rock and roll music, and Through the Eyes of Love. The Frost, very short lifetime. They will be missed forever. Here on Jim's Record Party. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us once again as we've looked at one of Detroit's greatest rock bands, one of America's great unsung rock bands, The Frost. Please comment, like, and subscribe. Please join us again next week at this same time and this same station for more great albums here on Jim's Record Party.